Our next guest used to manage the biggest stars in Hollywood, now spends a lot of his time looking for the next great investment idea, including one that is betting on the future of retail investors. Michael Ovitz joining us now. Welcome back. It's good to see you again.
Hey, Scott. How you doing?
Doing very well. It's great to have you today.
Thank you, and congratulations. It's hard to believe it's been 10 years.
Yeah, you're telling me. So I talked about your former life. I talk about your current life now as an investor. And you're investing in a company, this is really interesting, I think, for our viewers to hear, called Common Stock. Sounds a little bit like Reddit, but maybe more involved. Can you describe what this is? Because it is a big bet on retail.
Well, I think that I think the company is looking at the success and popularity of Reddit and what has occurred, both the good things and the bad things, and they're trying to basically put this in some order and corral it for the retail market, and I think they're doing a terrific job.
It's a social network platform, and by the way, as I understand it, you are an investor in Reddit as well. What makes you so bullish about retail investors right now? How do you think about Robinhood and just that whole area, which has just mushroomed over the last, let's say, 18 to 24 months?
Well, I like Robinhood a lot, but I like it for the simple reason that it has created a pretty equal playing field. As you know, because you and I have discussed this, when we all started in this area, and if you remember back, I don't know if you remember back to your days in Dallas, but we never had the kind of information that's available today. And the digital communication platforms have pretty much leveled the playing field. And the concept of getting information is pretty egalitarian. And if you want to spend the time and do the homework, you have a pretty good opportunity to foundationally invest. Platforms like Robinhood, Coinbase, these are fantastic platforms for anyone to invest. The information available is deep, and I think it levels the playing field.
Are you a crypto investor, since you mentioned Coinbase?
Yes, I am.
In which one?
I'm invested in quite a few of the different coins. I'm obviously invested in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. I'm very interested in the space. I like to go where the young developers are going. So I'm very cognizant of what they're doing and what platforms they're developing on.
Let me ask you one final question, and I didn't realize that you're on the board of Bill Ackman's Tontine Holdings SPAC. We know where valuations are. We've been talking about them with some of the biggest investors in the world all week long. Does that make it more difficult to find a target?
Well, I think it's always difficult to find a great target, and it's not as easy as it appears. We had this big SPAC run. Bill is an extraordinary investor. He has great instincts. We have a great board. We've been incredibly careful. As you know, we had a deal with Universal Music. We had some issues in getting it approved. So we reversed it to Bill's fund, which turned out to be a phenomenal investment. Right now, the board and Bill are looking at a lot of different targets. We do have a very large SPAC at $4 billion. We have turned it into a SPARC. And I think Bill's being extraordinarily careful, thoughtful. He's not allowing anybody to rush him into any decisions. But I must say, we have ample targets. Valuations, yes, they're high everywhere, particularly in the area I'm working in, looking at investments in the digital space, and valuations have really skyrocketed, particularly in the software area. But we're dealing with it, I think, very intelligently.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you quickly, if you, because I want your opinion on this, and I think others would be interested in it too. If you represented Scarlett Johansson in the whole thing that happened with Disney and this whole conversation about digital versus theatrical releases and streaming, how would you have handled that situation?
Well, you know, it's interesting, Scott. I had this problem actually 40 years ago. I represented Paul Newman and Robert Redford, and they did a really great film called The Sting. And Universal decided to release it on videotape. which was the streaming of the day. And they had no rights in their contract to do it. No one had anticipated videotape. And I must say, they were terrific. And we settled the claim before it ever got to litigation. Personally, I'm a little confused how this got to the point that it did. But the good news is they settled it. Scarlett is a really wonderful actress and personality. This situation should not have escalated the way it did. But the good news is they settled it.